Here's the thing, I want my perfume to choke me out. Give me heavy, creamy, sweet, jammy, sticky, ambery, resinous. I want all of it. But it's just been summer, and summer fragrances are a completely different vibe. So I'm excited to head into fall with those heavier fragrances because most of my collection is made up of heavier fragrances, and I can pull them off of the shelf, pull them from the back of the cabinet, and put them to work because it's fall, y'all. And I have some options here, fragrances that I think are quintessential fall fragrances for you to check out today. So if that sounds like something you're interested in, stick around. We have a conversation to have. Let's get into it.
I've been so robotic. Everything I do is cold.
Hi, I'm Jeanique, and we have 9 fragrances to go through today, and I'm excited to share them with you. And no, they aren't all vanillas. You're welcome, because that could have very easily happened. Instead, I created 3 categories to keep myself in check. First, we have sweater weather fragrances. These really cozy fragrances to sit by a fire if that's what you want to do. Think vanillas, tonka, caramel, that kind of energy. The second category is pumpkin spice dreams. Think spicy fragrances, ginger, cardamom, some warm spices like nutmeg and cinnamon. And the third category is autumn air. So fragrances that really encapsulate the breeziness, the airiness, the falling leaves of fall. Think earthy fragrances, woody, petrichor, florals, that kind of energy. We have them all here. I haven't left anybody out. Everybody's getting there, a little bit of time to shine. So if that sounds like something you're interested in, stick around, but also subscribe so you don't miss my videos to come, because there will be videos to come. Let's get into it.
Baby, don't fight it, 'cause you only get this one time.
The first category I want to get into is sweater weather, and y'all knew this would be my favorite category because I stay loving a very heavy, thick vanilla fragrance, and here's an excuse to introduce y'all to a bunch of them. So let's get into the first one that I wanted to talk about that I think is perfect for the month of September, and it is Black Opium Le Parfum from Yves Saint Laurent, YSL. Now, this is my favorite of all the Black Opium fragrances. I've talked about this before. Now, this is a very sweet vanilla mixed with some heavier floral elements. So a lot of the weight of the fragrance is like floral weight, from white florals like orange blossom. There's some vanilla blossom in here. They say there's patchouli. There is no patchouli. I don't smell any patchouli. What I do get is this very sweet vanilla that is complicated a little bit by some nuances of coffee, which is really nice, and a little bit of nutmeg, and then it's balanced out by these really beautiful floral notes that make it feel distinctly perfumey, but not so overpowering that it feels inappropriate for the warmer September days. It still works. It's the kind of fragrance you can wear every day this month and still feel like you're giving what needs to be given, because it's beautiful, it's elevated, and it just smells wonderful. I love this one. Now, if you want something a little bit heavier and thicker and more jammy, then you could go for something like this guy here. This is Nabras from Lattafa. Now, this isn't as sweet as Black Opium Le Parfum. The vanilla in here is a lot more restrained in terms of sweetness, or better said, they have a cacao note in here, which can be a little bit cutting, right? So it cuts through some of the sweetness you would get from the vanilla to make this smell like a not too sweet latte. Like, that is the vibe this gives. Like, it has the cacao in here, it has some tonka, there is some really heavy amber in here, all working together. This is a truly gourmand interpretation of vanilla without some of those distracting floral notes. It leans in heavy to that side of things. However, the vanilla in here is not crazy sweet. Now, people have said this is a dupe of Billie Eilish, the first one in the bronze bottle. But that one, although it smells very similar, is a far sweeter take. So if you love that fragrance but you think it's a little bit too sweet for every day, then this might be a vibe, because it restrains some of the sweetness and puts in some more sort of interesting notes like the cacao that I think really, really work. There's also some tonka in here. It's a little bit spicy. It's beautiful. I think this is perfect for staying in, being cozy, being wonderful. I love this one. The last fragrance in this category for me is Maison Margiela's By the Fireplace. Now, here's the the thing. This fragrance is not for everybody, but I've spoken about how I love a fire accord. I love a smoky base in a fragrance. I find it super comforting. I love that shit. And this fragrance does that. Now, it mixes together these very sweet notes. It smells like a burning marshmallow, not roasting marshmallow. No, it smells like burning marshmallows. So this very sweet burnt smell. So that's either for you or it's not. Now the texture of this fragrance is relatively light, and I do think it needs to be very light because the fragrance itself is so potent that I think if the texture was really heavy, you'd feel like you were like, it would feel really claustrophobic. So I think the lightness of the fragrance with these really sharp notes that are really in your face and a little bit controversial make it a beautiful one. This is also a beautiful fragrance to layer with fragrances like the black opium, right? When you put some vanilla, some florals with this sort of smokier sort of element that is a little bit sweeter, they work beautifully together. This also works with the Nebraska. They layer well together. So if you're looking for a fireplace smell to lay up and be cozy by the fireplace, then this is a great one to go with. The next category is Pumpkin Spice Dream because it is pumpkin spice season, making me think about cinnamon and nutmeg and all those warm spices and how beautiful they can be. No, to be fair, this is not my favorite fragrance category because a lot of times I find spices overwhelming. So my interpretation of spiciness in a fragrance is gonna feel a little bit more restrained than maybe everybody else's. I don't want the spice overkill like some people do. I want a little tips of it, I want a little bit of it. I want to get a sense of it without feeling like that's all that's going on. So I'm going to start off with a classic here, and that is Kilian's Angel Share. Now, I do not wear this fragrance in spring and summer. I never do it. It feels overwhelming at those times. But let the fall and the winter come. I'm spraying my coat down with this. I am. The whole coat, and it sits on the coat, just FYI. People say it doesn't last on skin, but on a coat, on wool, yeah, it never budges. It just keeps going and going till you wash the coat. Now, this fragrance, I think, is really captured by a few notes, right? It's the praline, it's the cognac, it's the cinnamon, it's the vanilla. It smells like a Christmas drink. It smells like a Christmas cider that has some of those warm spices, a little bit of brown liquor in there. That's what this smells like. It smells like the holidays. It smells like a good time. I'm such a fan of this fragrance. FYI, I have Camera, which I've featured in videos before, and even though people say that's a dupe of this, it's not a dupe. It's not a dupe because it's not nearly as spicy. You know, I find Camera to Latifah's Camera to be a year-round fragrance for me personally because the spices are dialed down. But we're heading into fall and winter, so we're dialing up the spices somewhat within reason. And Angel Share does that. I think it's a beautiful fragrance if you love that sort of, I want to smell like a drink, I want to smell like a Christmas drink, and this does that absolutely. So this is the first Pumpkin Spice Dreams fragrance, and we're going to get into the next one, which spicy in a different way but still real spicy. So this next one may not be a classic, but it should be, and it's from Fraganon, and it's called Heliotrope and Gingembre. Now, you can see from the name what is basically this fragrance whole DNA. Heliotrope and ginger, and that's basically what it is. There are some other elements in here that I think they're putting in work. There is a really nice tonka in here. There is some vanilla in here. There are some other florals that don't work as hard as the heliotrope is giving powdery energy. There's a lot of cinnamon in here, but most of the work really is a balance between this really nice ginger, a really powdery, very powdery heliotrope, as well as a very sweet cinnamon with some spices coming from the tonka and the cinnamon. It is beautiful. There are other things in here they say like apple and I think rose. You don't smell any of that. You don't smell any of that. But if you want if you love ginger and you love a powdery fragrance, then this is it. This is as good as it gets for me personally. Now, as far as spices go, ginger is one of my favorites. I don't think you can miss with ginger. Now, I don't usually love heliotrope on 10, right? The powderiness can be a little bit of an overkill, but there's something about like a cloud-like cloud enveloping you that is all gingery, vanilla, tonka sweetness, that just feels right. It feels right. It feels different. It's one thing to have heliotrope magnifying certain floral or woodier elements, but ginger, you can magnify ginger all you want because that's beautiful. So this is a fantastic like daytime fragrance that makes you feel like beautiful. You're going out to brunch on Sunday with friends. This is the kind of fragrance you put on. It smells fresh, sweet, spicy, beautiful. I'm such a fan of this one. Heliotrope Ginjam from Fragonard, and you know, I'm such a fan of this one. So I did a count in my collection, and the brand that shows up most frequently is Guerlain. I was a little bit shocked by that, but of all the Guerlain fragrances I have, and I clearly have more than my fair share, to be fair, one of my favorites is this guy here, and it's Terracotta Le Parfum from Guerlain. This is... The notes don't do this justice. You see the notes, you see mostly white florals, maybe some vanilla, and you think it's going to be a very straightforward white floral fragrance. It's not that. It is so creamy and heavy and thick with a smoky base. Where does the smoky base come from, Guerlain? Where does the smoky base come from? Because it's not from sandalwood. It's not from orange blossom. I don't know where the smoky base comes from in this. It's not from the bergamot. I don't understand. This fragrance, what does it smell like? It smells like a white floral dream, like the best version of tuberose and orange blossom you can think of. Really thick and heavy and sweet and beautiful, right? And then you have this nice creamy vanilla, but it still feels kind of airy. It doesn't feel like it's weighing you down ever. Like you could definitely wear this like in spring, just like you wear it in fall. I don't think it's a height of summer fragrance, but I do think for most of the year you can pull off terracotta real easy. And in the base, it just feels really complicated. To me, it smells like there's a little bit of dark chocolate in here. It smells like a little bit of coffee is in here. It just smells way more nuanced than the notes might suggest. It is just such a magnificent fragrance and one of my favorites from Guerlain. And as somebody who has more than their fair share of Guerlain fragrances, I will say this is something oh God, I look forward to wearing this every fall because of how big and beautiful and rich it is. Now this fragrance makes me feel like a rich ass bitch. It just really does. I want to go out special occasion nights wearing this. Right, I'm gonna go out on a first date smelling classy as fuck, and that's what this does. It's just a beautiful fragrance that gives everything that needs to be. You need to understand, because I'm a little bit scared that Guerlain's gonna stop making it someday because it just doesn't sell like Mon Guerlain. It's one of the other ones. I'm a little bit scared. But for now, yeah, I'm gonna just keep loving on her because she is a beautiful one and she deserves all the hype and does not get nearly enough of it. So we're gonna get on to Autumn Air next. Some of my favorite woody sort of airy fragrances. Yeah, let's get into it. The next category we're getting into is Autumn Air. Now this one I'm excited about because I love me a green earthy type of smell, and sometimes as somebody who loves a feminine fragrance, finding recommendations for green earthy fragrances that don't skew too masculine can be a little bit of a challenge, but I have some here that I think, although very green or woody or earthy, still read feminine, or even in the unisex category, heads in the feminine direction and won't smell a little bit too masculine on any of us. I have some options here that I really enjoy that really encapsulate the autumn air vibe I'm trying to convey with this category. So I hope these are helpful to you if you're looking for that type of fragrance that reads woody, green, all of those things, but also very, very elegant. I have some options that I'm very excited to share. Y'all, Zara did that with this one. And this is Ebony Wood. Here's the thing. I did my very first Zara haul earlier this year, and part of how I came to the list that I came to was looking at all of the reviews all over YouTube that people had talked about Zara fragrances, and it was pretty consistent across the board that people loved Ebony Wood. This is developed by Jo Malone, and it's supposed to sort of be a ripoff of her other fragrance, Wood Sage and Sea Salt. And I knew I loved Wood Sage and Sea Salt from the jump. I tested it, I liked it, but the performance on Wood Sage and Sea Salt is not great, and this was supposed to be better. I picked this up. Can I tell y'all? This is better now than it was a few months ago. Like sitting in a dark cabinet just percolating has greatly improved what this smells like. So what is this? It's a little bit of salt. There is some citrus in here and there are some woody elements. That's it, that's all. It's real straightforward, but the wood deepens the fragrance and makes it even better. No, When I first tried this, the citrus in here was a lot sharper and slightly greener. And I will say after just macerating for the last few months, the citrus in here is a lot sweeter, not a lot sweeter, is distinctly sweeter than it was before. That it's developed this real like beautiful nuance to it that I really, really enjoy. No, the salt in here isn't as heavy as in the original, and I do love a salty note. So I'm a little salty, pun intended. I'm a little bit salty about this not having as much salt, but the fact that it costs half as much, I will live with it. What I will say is that if you don't want a super sweet, over the top fragrance, you want to lean into some heavier woods with a little bit of citrus and a little bit of skin scent, musk, salt, goodness, then this is a great place to go. I would say it's continued to impress me as I've worn it, and every time somebody tells me this does not smell good, I think to myself, I can't trust anything you say. I really can't. Now, one of my favorite green fragrances that I think is an entry-level green fragrance that anybody could really enjoy because it's just that good is Chloe Nomad Absolute. Here's the thing. I love all the Chloe Nomads. I don't know if that means I'm basic, but I love all of them. The regular one, the au natural. It don't matter. If they make a Chloe Nomad flanker, I'm gonna check it out because the likelihood is I'm going to enjoy it. The original Chloe Nomad is on my fragrance tray most months because it's a go-to work fragrance to me. And I just keep rebuying it because I love that sort of chypre DNA where you get like a little bit of citrus, a little bit of oak moss, a little bit of woods or musk, a little bit of a heavy white floral, a resinous white floral like labdanum. Love that combination. I think it's a classic one because it works, and it works for me personally. Now this takes that Chloe Nomad DNA in a different direction. It adds some even more oak moss. There is some Davana in here, and Davana can be a little bit bitter. Think like almost mint tea but more bitter, or green tea that has like a bit of sharpness to it. There is a greenness in here that is heading in the direction of cut grass but doesn't go as far as all of that because the oak moss kind of waters it down a bit and makes it just a little bit easier to take. The sandalwood in here isn't, I would say, a sort of heavy creamy sandalwood, but it's definitely there. It's definitely distinct. It feels drier to me. It feels closer to oak or cedar than it does to sandalwood in my opinion, but I think it does add a lot of body and heft to the fragrance. You wear this into a meeting and you are making a statement without boxing down somebody. That is the vibe this fragrance gives, and I'm such a fan of this one, and I'm excited to be wearing it yet again. It is time. It was a little bit overwhelming, a little bit much because of those greener notes, some of those woodier notes for the summer, but for fall it's right on target. It's right on, just right on. You know what I want to pick up though? I want to get the au natural one next because I've smelled her, I loved her, I want her, but I don't have it yet because, you know, self-control sometimes, possibly. I do that sometimes, definitely. I've written whole love letters to this fragrance, so I won't go on and on about it. What I'll do is I'll link the short I did about it to give you a little bit more context and information if that's something you're interested in. But it's possible that I did this whole video as an excuse to talk about this fragrance yet again, maybe, possibly. But it is When the Rain Stops by Maison Margiela. Here's the thing. This is my favorite Maison Margiela fragrance by a long shot. I'm more than a little obsessed with it because even though it's not the kind of fragrance I necessarily want to like wear to work or on a date or anything like that, it is a fragrance that evokes all kinds of positive feelings whenever I spray it. It's very nostalgic. So what is it? It's exactly what the name says. It smells like rain hitting wet dirt. It smells like earth and greenness and rain and sunshine with a little bit of pepper thrown in. There is greenness in here, there is woodiness, there's wateriness, all happening at the same time, and you're like, how do they do that? How do they pull that off? It's so lovely. There's an element of fresh air happening at the same time. It all feels very nostalgic and comforting and lovely. This is the fragrance you spray yourself down with on a cooler fall day when you don't want to go outside. This is the fragrance you spray yourself down when it's already raining outside and you want to smell like the rain as well. This is the fragrance you put on your body. But instead of just having the fresh rain smells like a lot of other fragrances have, you also have this greenness and earthiness creaminess that's also added to the mix that I think makes the fragrance just feel really comforting and wonderful. And I'm such a huge fan of this fragrance. So if you are one of the few people out here who loves smelling like, you know, rain and wet dirt and greenness and cut grass and just air and all of the things, then maybe you'll enjoy When the Rain Stops as well, or you'll check it out and see what it gives for you personally. But for me, this is the quintessential autumn air fragrance. It is lovely, it is beautiful, I'm a fan, and I hope it's useful to you if you love that sort of thing as well. So that's it, my 9 fall perfumes that I would recommend in a jiffy to anybody. These are easy to love, easy to find, easy to wear. They're beautiful, and I hope there's something in here that you can enjoy as well. If you enjoyed this video, check out my last video where I go through my perfume tray for the month of September. Maybe there's a gem in there for you, even if there's not one here that you are really on board with. Again, I'm Jeanique. I appreciate you watching this video. I'm gonna put you on game on these fall perfumes because I'm not saying I'm the expert, but basically, I'll see you in the next one. Bye, y'all.
Baby, you're the one and only. Baby, you've been on my mind.